I will call the meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hawkins.
Here.
Miss Ellsworth. Mr. Yashnik.
Here.
Mr. West.
Here.
Mr. Deal.
Here.
Miss Poland. Here. Miss Filkins.
Here.
Okay, we have quorum. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from October 9th of 2025?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
Right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have one item on the agenda today. Zach, would you mind reading that in, please?
Absolutely. Item named 2026 HRC-01 regarding 10 to 18 North Main Street and 6 East Chestnut Street, COA for interim redevelopment. The summary for that item being the 3 buildings located at 10 to 18 North Main Street and 6 East Chestnut Street have been condemned and slated for demolition. A consultant was hired to design a parking area for use by the Mount Vernon Municipal Court staff, which will be relocated to 40 Public Square. This interim redevelopment will be utilized for an indeterminate length of time. Preliminary designs for the remodel of 40 Public Square to be used by the Municipal Court and Probation include provisions to allow for future expansion to the north.
Okay. At this time, are there any comments from the public for anyone for the project?
Mr. Hawkins, we need to get the actual presentation of the request.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Please swear in.
Hello, Commission. My name is Tanner Salyers. My address is 236 South Main Street. I affirm that my testimony is truthful to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God, or under penalty of perjury. All right, so before you today is a request for 2 things, actually. Most requiring your action is a certificate of appropriateness today for the demolition of the 3 buildings north of 40 Public Square. We would need a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition and for the redevelopment. The buildings would have to not be there for us to redevelop it, so part of that request is for the demolition of those buildings. Number 2 is not really a request of action, but a request of your participation. Following that action for the certificate of appropriateness, we would ask that this commission, along with the Knox County Historical Society and Ohio's version of the State Historic Preservation Organization, so our version of that would be the Ohio History Connection, that we would sit down together and approve an MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, for mitigation, if any, of the site and what needs to take place there. So just kind of to recap what has happened in what we have affectionately called musical buildings in the city of Mount Vernon. The site was originally designed, and you may remember these renderings from the architect firm MKC for a concept of a city hall annex. There was an allusion with an A to the buildings behind 40 Public Square. There was the Henry B. Curtis building. I think most people are more concerned about the historic character of that building, not so much the block building immediately behind 40 Public Square, and then maybe the brick building on the corner of Chestnut and North Main Street, or as we like to call it, the world's shortest north. We're all good. We're all good. We're good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So in that rendering, those buildings were down, but there was still kind of like a white transitional homage to the Curtis building, and then the brick buildings there as a kind of an extension of City Hall. That was under the assumption at that time when those renderings were made that City Hall, the operations of the administration, were to remain at 40 Public Square, and that would just be an extension of administrative offices then. Cut to now, you're sitting in the former COTC building. things have changed. We like to call a lot of audibles around here. The option for this building came up through a listening tour that happened early in 2025. I believe that was about the time that happened. It's all been a whirlwind. So when that became a reality to us, that was a significant savings to the city to acquire this building that required very little renovations, as opposed to building, $10, $15 million addition onto the back of City Hall for administrative offices, because that still didn't fix the court issue, right? Because the issue that was really driving the whole conversation was 5 North Gay Street, or the Plaza building. So as we moved here, then our attention turned to utilizing the now empty, or as soon as we are completely finished with this remodel and can move all offices here, 40 Public Square. So then we looked at the redesign of 40 Public Square and looked at, well, since we already have kind of a rough annex rendering, why don't we move the court from 5 North Gay into 40 Public Square, and we can put all functions of the court into a justice center on 40 Public Square. Our design architects that worked with us, the firm BKV out of Chicago, they're the same firm that worked with us on the design for the police station on Syker Road. They have also been working with us on 40 Public Square. They determined, they kind of studied the flow, and a court facility needs more than just an administrative offices. They have security things that they have to look into, and they looked at that the viability of that kind of a design, and due to function and cost, they recommended that we not do that. They did propose that that site could work if we demolished 40 Public Square, and I said, nope. I think I'd rather keep my head connected to my shoulders, thank you. So we did not explore that any further. So the city moved beyond that, and we briefly explored, after a conversation actually following that October 9th meeting of the Historical Review Commission, and we talked about the costs, where this body talked about the costs and the concerns that the community might have. We looked at salvaging the buildings behind 40 Public Square, and we had our owner's representative, Pizzuti Solutions, that has done this hundreds of times across our country. We had them look at the buildings behind 40 Public Square and say, what would it look like to salvage these buildings? Is that a viable solution for us? Remember that since those buildings were constructed, ADA compliance, that wasn't even a thing on anybody's mind back when those buildings were constructed, but they were not constructed for the purposes of office or institutional or court or any of that. Well, they were constructed for office purposes, but not for modern office purposes. So we had them explore that idea, and just the facade alone would drive the cost up millions more dollars than we wanted to explore. So our design firm, or our architect firm and owner's representative, Pizzuti Solutions, recommended that we recommended against that plan. Ultimately, we chose, we also explored an auxiliary building behind the building. So remember the annex, the idea of the annex was to connect 40 Public Square, so you could walk in the front door of 40 Public Square and walk out the back of a connected building. Like it would never rain on you if you walked through the building. So then we said, okay, maybe functionally we could still use the site and have a separate building, so all the functions of the court, probation, the clerk's office, the law director's office could still be housed on that same site. And if this sounds like the city has thought this through every way, backwards, forwards, and looked at it as though it's a Rubik's Cube, we have. And it's been quite the process. But still, for cost and functionality, we chose against that as well. The site just does not lend, and I'll look over here to our interim city engineer. The site doesn't always work with us. At grade, it's not great. So then finally, we chose to temporarily house the law director off-site and move the court functions, which he was just absolutely thrilled about without even looking at his face, until we can utilize the full functionality of 236 South Main Street, and then also put all the remaining functions of the court into 40 Public Square. That would include some minor exterior modifications, with everything north of the court becoming, those three buildings becoming a parking and detainee transfer location for probation and jail transfer for trial. So that's a lot real fast. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Salyers?
And I believe somewhere in this packet, Ms. Blankenhorn was there, should have been provided. So what does that mean? Ultimately, we did include some options for what this could look like. Now, I don't want anybody to get too caught up on the mature trees in the parking lot. We will not be hella dropping in mature trees in the parking lot, but maybe the right there you're seeing Chestnut and Main. You would be standing on the corner of Chestnut and Main looking into a parking structure. There were 3 renderings with our team from Pizzuti and Edge, which is a design firm that handles these kind of pocket parks or other smaller facilities like this. We looked at 3 different renderings of what this could look like to kind of beautify this area. One is just more of a continuation and buffering of what's already next to 40 Public Square. We also utilized some structures that you're familiar with already along Gay Street, maybe behind the Grand as well. So you can see the familiarity of a significant retaining wall. As we talked about the back end of Chestnut Street, there is a significant drop there. But also, those pillars right there are very similar to what you would see on the parking structures along Gay Street or behind the Grand, with the same kind of lamp posts that you would see to provide some additional lighting. That and then you see the fencing along there. Those small gray sections on the brick, that would be for the keystones that were salvaged from the HBC building, the Curtis building. I know the Grand did a very similar thing as you walk through the front door of the Grand off of the square. They have a salvaged keystone on the door. That's an homage to the Curtis family, to the Curtis building. If we went with that's a very basic section, that would be an option. Zach, if you want to scroll to the next option. This would be a secondary location or a secondary option concept. So this was presented to us. There's a bench with a statue. They recommended the statue of Henry Curtis. I was like, I don't know that we want to lean too much into that, but we talked about either just doing a bench or maybe even potentially doing a statue of George Washington right there. It is Mount Vernon. We would probably eliminate the stair steps to just utilize the grade. But there's an opportunity to make that more of an inviting space for people to still engage as we have festivals and whatnot downtown. Again, everything else remains the same. As far as cost goes, we don't believe that would be a significant driver to really eliminate, that small section and do a little bit more concrete and work. And then finally, if you want to look at the third option, well, this is a little bit more modern art. I don't know that anybody driving by would really understand what we were going for here, so we've kind of internally eliminated this, but if the Historic Review Commission this is the hill that they want to die on, well, okay. These are 3 cast iron, what would you call these, just columns? Okay. I was hoping for a little bit more fun word than columns, but cast iron columns that were removed from the Henry Curtis building. This would be, again, another homage to the building, but again, if you were just kind of driving by, and even if you're from Mount Vernon and remember the building, I don't know that you would drive by and really know what's going on there. So I like what they were going for, but I don't think people would get it. The corner there is another little, if you kind of zoom into that, I'm not asking you to do that, Zach, but, or you can. Hey, look at that. Asking you shall receive. There's a little plaque right there. We talked about establishing that as like a founder's corner, but hey, just so happens now there's a founder's hall, so maybe we'd want to rethink what we would call that. But really an opportunity to not only honor the Curtis family, but also the Butlers and the Coopers, as there's several founding families that really contributed as you're entering into the downtown. If you're unfamiliar, the Butlers also dedicated the square and gave that land to the family. And then, of course, the Cooper family with Cooper Bessemer, but also they were the contributors behind the Cooper Fountain and limitless other things. So there's a lot of opportunity there if you're doing a plaque of any sort. So we have already put some thought into some very limited conceptual historic preservation ideas there. There's a lot of ideas with digital preservation as well, which we've already 3D scanned these facilities. They're not great. We've had people reach out, and I must emphasize that, if you think that these are some of the gems of the downtown, I encourage you to fill out the waiver and take the tour. That there's not a whole lot worth salvaging. They were purchased by the city for demolition because they're in bad shape. But I think the best thing that we can do is really do an homage to the people that built them and the time frame that they were in, and keep serving the community by turning this corner of the city definitely an area of an entryway into something that makes people want to visit and continues to serve the community.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I had a quick question, Tanner. So, well, that long-term, that parking lot, there's still plans to make that like an annex? Is that what I understand?
If that becomes the goal of a future administration,
okay.
We've jokingly called this Operation Trestle. We are punting.
Okay.
This will serve the needs of the court for the interim, and this is a comment that has come from the judge himself that municipal courts are statutory courts. The Ohio General Assembly could say that a municipal court can do more or can do less, and I think this is something that as we do a lot of facilities projects, this is really something that I think in the future other administrations are going to have to work out. But for now, for us, that 40 Public Square will be enough to house the clerk's office, the court, and probation. And then in the future, if there is an opportunity for the county and the city to work together on a Knox County justice system or justice center, then that would be amazing. But for right now, that's going to be enough for us.
Okay.
And if Mayor Humdinger 20 years from now wants to build on that site, the reason that we are not constructing, because to that point, a conversation was had about, do we want to put a fountain back there or do anything like that? As welcoming as that may be, what you don't want to do is put something there that's going to be that 20 years from now somebody's going to say, oh, that fountain's part of our heritage, it's been there for 20 years. It's like, great, and then we're going to have to drag this poor commission in here to talk about knocking down the historic Matt Starr fountain. We're not proposing the Matt Starr fountain, but just kind of you see where I'm going with that. You want to make sure that room is there. Mm-hmm. Right now it serves the purpose. Everybody talks about needing additional parking space on the square especially, and you don't want staff parking to take up customer parking or commercial parking on the square. I think that's critically important, especially given the situation in the parking garage. And more importantly, for the court's purpose, you need detainee transfer. And you need those kind of security measures in place, which, to be honest, that grade drop off for the wall, that does kind of help. Nobody running away from that. So,
Okay,
that
that
answer the
helps.
question?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Please stand by in case we have
Okay.
further questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any public comments? Yes, please swear in.
How do I swear on?
There should be a paper right there.
Oh. Oh, hey, my name is Alan Wagner, and my address would be 9 North Main Street. And I affirm that my testimony is truthful to the best of my knowledge and abilities, so help me God, under penalty of perjury. But, no, I think that at this point in time, parking is probably a good option after everything, but it might be neat if there was a little bit of public parking there, if it was subdivided. Do they need that much parking? And I think because that area or the buildings that were there were like really attractive to people from out of town, they were like a reason to come to this community. I mean, it was a draw, and I don't know if that, but maybe some public restrooms or something like that on one side. I mean, there's so much land there, so I just keep thinking that like public restrooms and a little bit of public parking in that plot. It isn't really invasive, but because there aren't any, that's one thing with downtown is a lot of people have a need for public restrooms. Like everybody comes and they're always trying to find some place to use the restroom. So that's just a thought at this point in time to make it so it's like attractive again. Because changing it from something that was as beautiful as those buildings, which I mean, it's beyond the point of salvaging that now, but it'd be neat to have something that kind of like filled in that void. And I don't know, public restrooms just seem like a nice. It's the only thing I could think of right off the top of my head. But that's a common thing downtown. People come here, and it's, since you keep referring to it as the entrance, maybe they would see that. Maybe it would be a draw. I don't know. Something to think about. That's all.
Yeah, thank
really.
you.
Yeah.
Do we have any other comments for the public? Okay. At this point, do we have a motion?
I have a question.
You turn that.
How many parking spaces are they proposing might be in here?
So I believe they said 16, is that right? 14 or 16?
It's currently up in the air.
Okay.
BKV was trying to noodle that out depending on what we need to do with this street face and meeting city code regulations for the parking size. It's definitely going to be limited because of the ingress, egress, and needing to restrict the access for court security.
There are a number of significant Supreme Court rules regarding security for judges parking, and on a new construction like this, they will control.
So I guess to answer Alan's query, there probably wouldn't be room for public parking. It would be just secure parking for the court.
Yeah, it would be secure parking for the court. Now, for the restroom, we did consider there are still public accessible restrooms in the court building itself. That was discussed in the design, which we're not really talking about 40 Public Square, but I'll just throw that out there. They're still including, if you wanted to walk into 40 Public Square and just happened to be off the street and really needed a restroom, there would still be an accessible restroom for somebody like that. And then still along North Main Street there would still be the street parking on that side. The street parking will be back. Yeah. The reason that it's closed off right now is just due to falling debris, the risk of falling debris. Yeah.
But would it be able to subdivide the lot somehow with a wall, like additional wall accessible? It would just be exciting.
Sure. Yeah. I think right now the main goal, I will say this, I don't want to say anything confirm one way or the other, mostly because it's still conceptually in design. So nothing's set in stone. This is all just conceptual planning. But And we can certainly take these concerns to the designer and say, this is what the public would, has expressed. But we do know enough to say that parking and that kind of accessibility has always been one of the things that's been brought up in literally every meeting that we've had to do with concerning the square. So us making sure that staff parking is not taking up, square parking, because even, us working downtown when everybody was still in 40 Public Square as City Hall, just trying to back out at the end of the day and get home was, wait in traffic for 40 minutes, so
Where are the-
that 4:30.
Where are the court employees parking now?
So right now, staff can still park in the parking garage if they so choose, or they will park on Gay Street, or they will park on the square, and they will take up, spaces that could be for paying customers.
So yeah, that's my point. So theoretically, if those people are off the square and off Gay Street, there should be more parking for customers.
The ultimate goal would be to add 14 spaces of parking that aren't currently there, and to make sure that the people that are our staff are parking in those spots and not parking where somebody that would be patronizing a local business downtown, they're not parking in those spaces.
Was there any discussion with any of the firms you worked with about the intersection and how dangerous it can be? I see that you don't have any, at least on these renderings, there's no Chestnut exit, which I think is a wise decision, and the exit is on South North Gay Street, the south end, which I think is probably gives people.
Yeah. So there was conversation about a curb cut onto at one time a curb cut onto South Main, and we chose not to do that, mostly because what you all are not seeing is really the design function of 40 Public Square, where we are talking about on the back of the building adding an additional. If I would compare it to a more familiar building with you all, is the old was that Central School where the Board of Elections is, where they have a external elevator shaft. I think that provides more space for that building and functionality and security, but that's where that would go, closer to that. So if we were to put that on the back of the building, and then you'd have a curb cut for parking and entrance and egress too close to that, then as sure as God made little green apples, somebody's going to drive their car into our brand new elevator shaft. So might have been born at night, but it wasn't last night, y'all. That's what's going to happen. So chose not to do that. Blackberry Alley that runs alongside the other side of the I guess the east side of the building. They have talked about functional ways to more securely. And Zach, if you could bring that back, just any of the designs. You can still see, the parking garage for now, 5 North Gay in the back. They've talked about more controls if there is a jury trial or whatnot, if they could throw out temporary barricades or whatnot, and how to control Blackberry Alley. But generally speaking, that would still remain open to the public. I think that's where the conversation landed. So
Okay. Any other questions?
it's all covered up by the mature trees in the parking lot. It still makes me laugh.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
At this point, do we have a motion?
So do we need 2 motions, one, or just one motion to?
Just one motion that the parking lots are appropriate,
Okay.
to issue a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of parking lot.
Well, I'll
What do you
move
want
that
to-
we grant the certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of 10 to 18 North Main and 6 East Chestnut for interim redevelopment.
Okay. Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bourne, this is 6 and 8. 10 to 16.
North Main.
And then 60, so there's 3 buildings.
Yeah.
And we will listen to the address for the first one is 10 to 18. That's not correct. It should be 10 to 16,
Oh.
18 to 20.
before we get into this, let's clarify. So we have multiple addresses in 3 buildings. So that's why we need to adjust this. We're asking this body to grant the certificate of appropriateness on all 3 of these buildings. We have brownfield money, grant money essentially, for 2 of these buildings, which, funny enough, aren't the 2 controversial buildings. We have, and then we have the permits from the state of Ohio to demolish all 3 of the buildings. So it's wonky, right? Government folks. But to keep matters simple, we need to adjust this for.
Should we just do it based on the 3 parcel numbers?
Would that be easier?
Then we don't have to deal with addresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a motion, a second. We need to.
Well, we're going to ask for an amendment to switch out, to use the parcel numbers rather than the street numbers.
Any brave soul want to take on the amendment there? All right.
So the first parcel number is 66-05506.000. Second parcel is 66-03852.000. And the third parcel is 66-03852.001.
I will move to amend my initial motion to include the 3 parcel numbers named.
I'll second that.
Okay. Do we have any comments? Further questions? Not? Can we have a roll?
Mr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Mr. Yashnik,
Yes.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Mr. Deal,
Yes.
Miss Poland,
Yes.
Miss Filkins.
Abstain.
Okay. It has been approved.
Amended, the motion has been amended. We now move back to voting on the motion as amended.
Okay. Can we have a roll call for that?
Yes.
Mr. Hawkins.
Yes.
Mr. Yashnik,
Yes.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Mr. Deal,
Yes.
Miss Poland,
Yes.
Miss Filkins.
Abstain.
Okay. The amendment has been approved. Okay. That's it for the agenda. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
What? Do we need to talk about the other stuff yet?
Keep it short and sweet. We will reach out to the Knox County Historical Society and the Ohio History Connection and find out some dates, and then we will reach out to this body to discuss the ongoing mitigation. We'll make sure to include the public comments with our design firm and with the mitigation experts at these bodies. And we'll get back via the clerk. We'll get back with this body. Okay. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right.